Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is a figure line that I have not reviewed before, and I will not review another figure in this line again, I'm sure, but this is the Mego Stan Lee figure. So this is part of apparently a Legend line. I don't know what other figures they might have in it, but it is an 8-inch figure, and it does say it has 14 points of articulation, so you can see Stan Lee here. Not something that I would normally collect or buy, but it's Stan Lee, so of course I had to. I have two. I got one to keep on card and then one to review. I will also do a comparison with the Marvel Legends Stan Lee, of course, and there won't really be a fair comparison because one's more of a doll type thing or very old school action figure, very retro. Looking at the card, you see Stan Lee's signature, a picture of Stan Lee, Stan Lee's POW Entertainment. And notice up in the corner, it's also 17 plus. So this is definitely something that's supposed to be aimed at adult collectors specifically. Soft goods, you can see there, it's not super detailed or anything like that. It really reminds me of a doll, but it's interesting nonetheless. Looking at the back of the package, we get all the same information that was actually on the front of the card. Signature, 8-inch, 14 points of articulation, Mego Corp, Stan Lee's POW Entertainment. So there it is. So now let's open it up and check out this figure. Okay, and here's the Stan Lee figure out of the package. This thing is extremely generic, but again, this is that very retro style figure, something that you would have seen back when Mego was very popular, which, I don't know, 80s, maybe in the 70s even? I'm not even really sure. The Mego Corp started in 1954 and sold over 20 million of its standard 8-inch action heroes worldwide. So, I would say very popular, but it's just not the greatest thing. But as a nice collectible for Stan Lee, it's okay. But let's zoom in and look at the head sculpt, because the head sculpt is actually pretty good. The rest of it is kind of crap. But let's take a look. Okay, so taking a closer look at the Stan Lee head sculpt, it definitely looks like Stan Lee, but this is all kind of a harder plastic, so there isn't a whole lot of details in it. But some of the things that they did, I actually really like. So we got nice white paint in there for the teeth. The mustache is done with a gray paint and then a little bit of whiter shading over it to give it a natural hair texture look to it. The glasses are gold. That's done nicely. There's no lenses in there. However, they painted the inside with like a clear coat or something to kind of make it look shiny, as if there were some type of reflection with the lens, as if there was an actual lens in there. So that is pretty cool. The eyes look okay, but looking at the hair, we get a couple of different colors in there. So we got some dark gray in there, some lighter gray, and then we also got a nice wash in there of some really light gray or white to give it a textured hair look. So that is done quite nicely. The rest of the figure is just this very cheap fabric of soft goods, because I mean, you know, even on, you know, action figures that you might see now that use soft goods, they're definitely of a higher quality than this. But again, this is only a $14.99 figure, you know, and I'm sure they all use the same base body and stuff, but you know, it is what it is. But not a whole lot going on for it, but it's all done with like Velcro, so you can actually do the jacket, you can undo the shirt, and you can see how ripped Stan Lee is, and then the pants on there. And this is just a very funky body. I mean, look at that ball joint there. So it's interesting, as we'll take a look at the articulation. Of course, we'll actually keep it all kind of jacketed up and take a look at it, but let's zoom out for that now. Oh, and I forgot. He just has these shoes, and the shoes actually do come off so you can see that he just has like regular feet in there. So, I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess. It's all right, but let's zoom out for that articulation. Okay, so Stan Lee's articulation. The neck isn't articulated, except you just have a swivel, so that's all you're gonna do. The arm doesn't actually go out, and I did it a little bit earlier and then I heard something crack, so I want to be very careful with that. But it's got this weird joint in there and how it's done, but it's almost like it's got a butterfly in there, but it really doesn't. But it's just something that you can just articulate and kind of swing around. And he does have a single jointed elbow, which gives you that much bend at the elbow, and then the wrists have a swivel, and they do hinge actually, and that's a very ugly looking hinge and hand. The ab, there's no ab crunch, except we have that diaphragm ball, so you can actually get him to pivot to the side to the sides a little. Well, it looks like he just wants to kind of go on back. But going back, you can get him to go back a little bit. You can get him to go forward a little bit, but then it kind of wants to go back into a certain place. So it's kind of weird the way it works. You can get the legs to go out that far, even with the soft goods pants. It hinders it a little bit, but you can kind of force it. You can kick the leg up very, very high like so, and it does go back quite a bit. There's no swivel or anything at the thigh. You get a double jointed knee, which gives you about a 90-degree bend. And then the foot actually does have a hinge, so you can hinge up, hinge down. There's no pivot or anything like that. So pretty basic articulation. It's almost, you know, you think of it like a 5 POA figure with just bends at the elbow and knees. And that's kind of what I feel like this is going for. But again, this isn't something that is meant to get into any kind of dynamic pose or anything like that. So really can't knock the articulation. I think any articulation in a figure like this is going to be considered good. It's really all about just kind of what it represents and how the head sculpt ends up looking. So now let's transition into the side-by-side comparison with the Marvel Legends Stan Lee. Okay, so you can see there's a huge size difference, but of course, right, 8-inch scale action figure versus a 6-inch. It's kind of funny that the two Stan Lee figures would kind of be difficult to stand. It's kind of weird the way this one works. I have him to stand here, but it took me a minute, and then we know the old suited body for Marvel Legends is always a bitch to get standing. So it definitely takes a little bit of time to get that one to stand. But they both do really represent Stan Lee quite well. So it's fitting that, you know, if you're a Marvel fan, and I get he didn't create Marvel, you know, he created a lot of characters with his stories and everything like that. And there's, you know, so many others, you know, that should be getting a lot of praise as well. But Stan Lee was the face, right? That's who people would recognize. So that's a big part of the reason why, of course, plus his cameos and everything like that. So it is really nice. It's one that I think a lot of collectors should have, regardless if they like Mego figures, because they're not that great, but it represents what the thing that you love. So in this case, it's just Stan Lee, or it might be that TV show like Star Trek, or some of the old DC stuff, or whatever. They had some other things from old TV shows too, right? Didn't they have like Charmed, Brady Bunch, so some weird properties there. So it's truly kind of in the vein of like Funko Pops, where that might be what you kind of want to collect because it's either a nostalgia factor or something that you really enjoyed or really loved. That's kind of how I feel this Stan Lee figure is. And for $14.99 or whatever it is, that's a steal. That's a great price for something that could really have a lot of memories or hold a kind of a special place in your geek fandom, I would say. So definitely something I would recommend. If you haven't gotten the Marvel Legends Stan Lee, what are you waiting for? You need to get this figure. This is something that every Marvel Legends collector should have, is this Stan Lee. So make sure you get it. I'll include a link in the video description below for a Stan Lee figure as well, because it's something that I think every Marvel Legends collector should have, and any Marvel fan. I think this Mego Stan Lee is something to pick up. But you guys let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of this Mego figure? Again, I think it's okay. I listed the reason why you should collect it, but I do want to know what you guys think. So down in the comments below, let me know. If you guys liked the video, please hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.